We're here. We're all feeling a lot of things, and it's not all the same things. That's part of it. Some of us are thrilled, some of us are sad, some of us are angry, but we're all here together. And with that, I would like to introduce you to my friend and the founder of Field Team 6, Jason Berland.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. 200 plus of you. Yeah, I totally just cried and am recovering from hearing that song. So welcome to We've Got This, up to the minute Field Team 6 briefing. We have got this. You all, everyone who has volunteered, who has donated, who has spread the word and been any kind of activist, we all have been doing the work. And we're going to continue. We have set ourselves up for success and continue to, even right now, even today. I want to share that. Well, first of all, let me just say that the overall shape of this hour. I'll do a little bit of setup. We will hear from one of our fiercest Jedis, Patty Crane, on what we know now that we didn't 12 months ago. We're going to hear from our Director of Operations and the founder of Blue Voter Guide, Wayne Liebman, a letter he wrote to Joe. And after that, I'm going to talk about what we're doing at Field Team 6 to help and why this is such the most critical thing that we can do to win this election. We'll have some questions and answers, get to hear from all of you what you're feeling, what you're wondering about, see what we can answer, and send us all off with a battle cry back into this most important fight of all time. I want to let you know, not this weekend right now, but the weekend before, I just came back from Netroots Nation, which is the biggest organizers conference in the country. There were thousands of us, activists, organizers, super volunteers from every state in the country in Baltimore in July. It's like 4,000% humidity without raining somehow. You could kind of grab a piece of air and put it in your pocket. It was amazing to be around that energy. So many wonderful organizers. And I did expect going into it that there would be infighting about Kamala versus Joe, and we're Democrats, we're free thinkers. That's what we do. We argue. There was none. It was the most unity I've ever seen in any large grassroots conference, convention. It was mind-blowing and super encouraging. And whenever the question came up of who our candidate was going to be, which was rare, people had an unspoken sentiment that we were just going to keep on doing the crucial work of the grassroots, and we could and we're going to win no matter what, no matter who the person at the top of the ticket is, because it's about so much more than that. We are voting for ourselves and the people we love. We're voting for our personal freedoms. We're voting for our democracy. We're voting for our planet. So it's as big as everything. And even before this announcement this last weekend, we were unified and we continue to be, despite all the different feelings that we're feeling right now. Whatever you're feeling right now is okay. We all love you. Everyone's at a different stage in the process, and that's okay. We're here to understand each other and bring each other through this in a positive way. So, what else? I want to say that, we are, because we are people who love, we're also people who hurt. We're activists. We take the news personally. It's not just transactional. We use our hearts for our work. And we have had Biden's back. A couple days ago, I'm sorry, it's yesterday. It seems like so long ago, but the time moves in weird ways in when you're living through history. Yesterday morning, we were 1,000,000% behind Biden. Last night, we were 1,000,000% behind Kamala. And a pivot like that can give you emotional whiplash. That's part of why we're here today, is to just be here for each other and help get each other through that. But it makes sense that people are feeling all types of things on the spectrum. And where I want us to land, some of us are already there. Some will be there by the end of this Zoom. Some it'll take a few days or weeks, take whatever time you need. But the goal is for us to land in a place of joy where we continue to do this work, because we're about to have our first Black female president. That is a beautiful thing. So,
Awesome.
right. So the number 24 is important. So this Patty Crane gave this to me, credit where it's due. First, the year 2024, this existential year for our democracy. Next, think about this. It only took us 24 days for our party to pivot. That blows my mind. Their candidate gets 34 felonies. They don't even consider pivoting. We got new information on June 27th at the debate that has been hard to digest, but we all have been, and it took us 24 days for our party to pivot. The next 24, let's talk about 24 hours in which $100 million has come in for Kamala Harris. Act Blue has only gone over $50 million raised in a day twice. This was one of those times. The outpouring of love is amazing. Also, I personally, I feel like Pelosi's fingerprints are all over this. And the way you know that is there are no fingerprints. That's also from Patty Crane. Not everything I say is from Patty Crane, but she's amazing. Think about this. The 4 days of the Nazi rally, Republican convention, they got to roast Joe Biden and just throw all their barbs, all the most negative things they could possibly say about him in his direction. And then it's over. Oh, and then he steps down. Oh, just timing wise, virtuosic. Now Kamala gets to step in without any of that negativity having been thrown her way. He took that heat for her. I also just have to say, because I haven't mentioned it yet, what a deeply what a deeply heroic, sacrificial thing for President Joe Biden to do, having achieved the highest office in the world, having done an amazing job, having been a transformational president who made history with the legislation he passed, with, being a human being to Joe Manchin, who I couldn't do that, but for long enough so that he got Joe Manchin, the coal guy, to sign on to what became the biggest climate legislation in world history. Virtuosic achievements like that. And after that, and still having some kind of shot at winning, to step aside anyway, to hand it to the next generation, and to fulfill his promise of being a bridge. Oh, it's so beautiful. And we're gonna win this for him, and we're gonna win it for her, and we're gonna win it for all of us. So just last things before I hand it back to Dale. Just amazing signs of unity, democratic unity. It's not often we get to hear those two words together, and it's beautiful when we do. That is how we win. hearing yesterday in the middle of the day, like just hours after this announcement was made, that all 50 Democratic Party state chairs declared their unified support for Harris. Amazing. Amazing. Um, the new American majority, it describes the voters that we must get if we want to win, and the voters who have been winning elections already, and that is women, young people, people of color. Who is better to energize those three groups than Kamala Harris? I have a huge amount of hope because of that. And the final thing I'll say is that if you want to know what Trump thinks about this, he's already tried to postpone the debate and move it to Fox. Like, oh, that's an inside thought. Don't say that out loud. You sound like the coward you are. So that is beautiful. I will hand it back to you, Dale. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. So yeah, I'm also feeling all of the things. I'm feeling proud and sad and thrilled and excited and overwhelmed and a little confused, but mostly grateful. I I'm grateful that I'm reading the chat, and it's not just one person, but it's several people who are also doing outreach right now during this call. They are texting and they are writing postcards while they're on this call. I love that so much. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to all of our volunteers, to all of our volunteer staff. I'm grateful to the work that we get to do. I've told many people that if I didn't get to do this every day, I might be chewing my arms off out of anxiety and grief. But because I get to do this every day, I'm very excited to wake up and do it. So thank you to all of you for that. Thank you for letting me do it. I'm also grateful to certain people that work with us daily, and one of them I'm going to introduce right now. She not only is our communications guru, going to infinite numbers of panels and reading white papers and figuring out how best to craft our messaging, not only for outreach to those who are unregistered that we're reaching out to, but also through our social media, through our newsletter, through our Substack. Just how do we message to the activists that we can draw into this fight? And so, and whoever's typing, it's very loud. If we can mute them, please. Also, she's the head of our analytics team. If you have heard any exciting numbers about what we did in the 22 cycle, that's because of Patty's leadership on that team and the amazing people that she leads. And so I would like to introduce you right now to Patty Crane.
Dale, thank you so much. I'm one of the people. I want you to know I already did all my weeping because I do ugly cry. You guys are such beautiful criers. I just want to give you credit for beautiful crying, but I'm an ugly cry person and I have, light eyes and stuff like that, and they turn, redder than my lips. So just saying that I already did that crying. Um, but they were tears of joy, not just tears of sadness. I am so proud of Joe Biden and Jill Biden. I am so proud of those human beings and all the people around them. And I am so proud of us. And I just really, really, really want to bring out the fact that we did this. We did this 24-day turnaround, and we are going to do this amazing pivot. So now I'm going to share screen and make sure that I've got my settings going, and I do. And let's see if you're seeing my slides. Dale, you seeing a slide that says what we know now? Because a fun thing is we know so much more than we used to know. So I want to tell you a couple things that I want to remind you. This is not only the 4 lanes of messaging, this is the 4 lanes of activism. So you know what? We're used to being taught in the old days that it was all about the candidates. Remember those days when you thought that was the deal? Oh, and then, we found out, okay, well, the parties are important too, and they have their own lane of what they do. Oh, the issue groups, particularly in the Obama era, the issue groups got really important because Planned Parenthood, you know, and abortion rights folks and LGBTQ folks and climate folks and so many other causes that were so important. And then finally, oh, wait, who are these guys? The ones nobody notices, the ones nobody measures, the ones nobody understands, except we do, don't we? And unlike back in 2018 and 2020, and maybe even in 2022, we know the power of this group because it's not even like the way it looks in this illustration. It's like this. Look at that. That's us, people. That's our power. So, do we have to get organized so that we do the right thing and we push all these other guys in the right direction? Yeah, but look who's the engine. Look who's at the rear pushing forward. That's us. We know how to do it. So, one of the important things that we always have to remind ourselves is stop doing that stuff. Stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it, and do this stuff. You know how important it is to do that and to make that happen. So the next thing that I want us to remember is that it's not about the odds, it's about the stakes. And I just want to remind you, equal justice for all. You think that immunity decision was equal justice? I don't. Unalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, consent of the governed. Remember when that counted? I do. I want my granddaughters to live in the world where that comes back. Oh, free and fair elections. What do you think? Do we want to have that? We want to have that. Peaceful transfer of power, not the coup that they did on January 6th. Freedom of speech, freedom of the press, religious freedom, freedom to vote. We, the people, this all matters. So let's remember what happened in 2022. Field Team 6 talked to 5 million people through all of our outreach methods. 1.57 million of them, 31.5% of them registered as blue or purple, and 2/3 of a million of them actually voted. And here's a reminder, just 2 states where it made a difference. You think maybe the new blue and purple registrants, the 60,000 people, we managed to get all the way into the voting booth from nowhere into the voting booth in Arizona had an impact? I don't know. Since Governor Hobbs only won by 17,000 votes, I'd say our 60,000 votes were pretty valuable, wouldn't you? Okay, look at Nevada. It's even scarier. The yield wasn't very good. It's really hard to register voters in Nevada, only 15.6, but a third of them showed up. So that was 8,500 votes. Remember how we kept the Senate so we could stop all these awful MAGA laws? Oh my gosh, with Senator Catherine Cortez Masto with 7,900 votes. That was Field Team 6's margin. Okay, what is another thing that we know that we didn't used to know? People told us every single one of these things wouldn't work, couldn't work, didn't work. We were told that data couldn't be used. We were told that the lists were terrible. We were told all sorts of stuff. We've got the analytics to prove, nope, that's not true. And we've even got the analytics that say that the wonderful, curated, scored names that we have purchased yield really well on their own. Even if you don't talk to them, if you don't email them, 33% of them tended to register. But guess what? When we email them, it's 41% of them who register. You think that's a good thing? Or texting, and there's also postcarding and phone banking. But everybody said you can't email and you can't text them. We know better. We absolutely know better. So look at these comparisons and celebrate and be happy. We also know that we got to help people vote all the way up and all the way down the ballot, which is why Blue Voter Guide is so very, very important. Because if anybody leaves off anything, we might lose the House majority. And it turns out that if you just change so that people vote their whole ballot instead of just the one that they know, like the president or whatever, a 2% difference would flip 14 state legislators. Okay, so Blue Voter Guide, amazing. You're going to hear about it. All right, so how do we break through the MAGA chaos? I'm going to show you an example that's relevant in California, but this example applies in every single battleground state and battleground district where Field Team 6 is working. I'm going to show you this messaging because it got turned into a video by another group I organized with. And Dale Roy Robinson, one of my personal heroes, helped me produce this video and help the Alliance produce it. So I got to say thank you, Dale. Without you, I couldn't do anything. He talks me off the ledge about once a week too. I got to tell you that I just type into the Slack. I say ledge time, and he knows exactly what I'm going to need. I would that everybody had that. But here's some tips for breaking through the chaos. First of all, let's all remember, and I want you to look in this video I'm about to play. What do we do with our 3 V's? We got to start with a shared value. Never start with the bad stuff. Always start with the place where you and your audience agree, a shared value. Next, you name the villain. The second V is the villain, and you talk about their motive. It's always money and greed and racism and white supremacy and hatred and nationalism and other bad things. Okay, and then finally, what do? You never leave people at the villain stage. You never do that. You must pivot back and have agency for your person, your audience member. You have to pivot back to the vision and say, we can do this. Just like Jason named this meeting today, we got this, because we do got this. Okay, all right, so what are some other principles? First of all, you got to make the voter the hero. We're so proud of Vice President Kamala Harris. We're so proud of President Joe Biden. But the real heroes here are not those two. They are the wonderful, wonderful servants of our democracy. But the voter has to be the hero in order for the message to stick and have an impact. We have to say what we're for, not just what we're against. We're for democracy. We're against Trump's Project 2025. Could I make it any simpler? Okay, we got to draw a stark contrast. Got to be able to see what they're for, but what we're for. You got to be able to see the contrast. And you always got to describe the impact on regular people. Don't talk about legislation. Don't talk about procedure. Don't talk about judicial processes. Don't talk about any of that stuff. Just talk about regular people. So what I'm going to do now is show you a 3-minute video that is specifically about retaking the House majority. This happens to be about California, and it's very explicitly about California so that people can understand that. But I'm going to go ahead and go forward, and I hope that Fire Break will play. So here we go.
We Californians are people with plans and dreams, always seeking a better life. We want the freedom to make our own choices for our families and our futures. But some people want choices only for the few. They're authoritarians, trying to burn down our democracy because they want to take all the power for themselves. They seek to restrict your choices if your language, your skin color, or your faith doesn't match theirs. If your family looks different, or even if you're a woman. They're on the march, coming to set fire to our freedoms. In state after state, these MAGA Republicans are trampling on the will of the people and passing cruel laws that force doctors to refuse health care to women, block citizens from voting, ban books and lie about history, and make the climate crisis worse. Where will they carry their torches next? They intend to go nationwide, grabbing the power to strip away our freedoms, even here in California. MAGA Republicans have gone after the 6 swing districts that come up for grabs in the U.S. House in each California election. They get themselves elected by pretending they'll work for us. But they're really working for the billionaires who paid for the criminal mob that attacked our Capitol and tried to overturn our election. In 2022, MAGA Republicans grabbed power over the House by a razor-thin margin. If they keep their grip on power, their plans for 2025 and beyond will destroy our democracy. But we Californians have learned a thing or two about fighting fires. We know what to do to stop this MAGA inferno. We sound the alarm, we alert our neighbors, we draw the line. Together, We can build a firebreak to halt this arson. We can join forces to smother the MAGA flames. And we do it with our votes. When you vote, and your family votes, and your neighbors vote, you can sweep 6 good people into Congress, take back the House majority, and defend democracy. You can protect your freedom to choose, your freedom to live your life, your freedom to keep your children safe. And you can elect a government that works for you. The road to the House majority runs through California, and you hold the power.
So that's an example exactly of how that can work. And we're just so sorry about that. I need to make it go forward. You don't want me to keep playing this. I want to go forward. All right. So I will have some information during the Q&A on research about messaging versus Project 2025. Won't take up your time now because we have some other things to do, including a letter to Joe Biden. But I want you to know that's available. The other thing I want you to know is I'm just going to tease for this, but we have been building our own model for scoring data because we've been not thrilled because the data vendors, the political vendors, keep running out of names and saying, we don't have any more names. You're just going to have to keep working the same old names you've got. And we're saying, but 14 million more young people have aged into the electorate since 2020. We want more names. We want more names. So what did we have to do? By trial and error, and oh my God, trial and error are both really true here. We have gone and we have built our own scoring. And oh my gosh, we've tested it against 45 million names nationally, and it had a 91% accuracy rate. You might not think that's so good unless you knew that the other scoring models had a 40 or 50, and a couple of them had a 60% accuracy rate. So maybe what we know now is better than what we knew then. And I just want to say thank you to everyone on this call for being an awesome volunteer. We love you, we're grateful, and boy, have we got this. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. And just a reminder that same kind of messaging for the California video, that works everywhere that we're working, works in New York, works in all the other swing states. It's those 3 V's. It's giving agency. We can do this. All right, it's now time to pass the torch to my compatriot. And the reason that Field Team 6 exists, yes, Jason is the founder, but Wayne is the reason why Field Team 6 exists, because he is a savant when it comes to finding volunteers and putting them onto teams where they can build the infrastructure to make an organization run. And that's what he did for Field Team 6, and that's what he also did with Blue Voter Guide, which is also his baby. So he really gets credit for both organizations. Wayne?
Thanks,
Welcome.
Steve. I wanted to quickly clarify one thing about a statistic that Patty mentioned when she was talking about Blue Voter Guide, the 2% difference in voting. It will not elect just 14 state legislators, but 14 state legislatures. So I wrote this last night. I'm going to try and get through it. Dear President Joe, I know there's not much of a chance you'll ever read this, but I wanted to get it off my chest. I'm 76, not quite your age, but getting there. And I have noticed a decline. It takes longer for the words to come. And as for my short-term memory, forget it. Unlike you, I haven't been politically engaged for 50 years. My political career began November 9th, 2016. But like you, since then, I've been doing it 24/7. I'm part of what you'd call the grassroots infrastructure. To be honest, I didn't want you to be the candidate in 2020. I preferred Bernie or Elizabeth. But I got behind you when you got the nomination. And when you beat Donald Trump, it felt like the culmination of 4 years' hard work. I'm eternally grateful to you for stopping that poison. And if that was all you ever did from that point on, it was enough for me. But then a miracle happened. You became the most effective president of my lifetime. You beat COVID. With a bare majority in Congress, you got legislation after legislation passed and began the reversal of a decades-long economic decline. You shored up NATO, you took on climate change and drug companies, you stood up for working people, you stood up to dictators and aggressors, you got on a picket line, and you reversed student debt and 1,000 other things. You also did the most courageous thing I ever saw a president do. You got us out of a war we had no business being in. Yes, it was messy when we left Afghanistan, but a lot less messy than our exit from Vietnam. And Vietnam's exit was forced, while Afghanistan's wasn't. It was a choice. We left Afghanistan because you knew we didn't belong there. And now you've gone and done another courageous thing. You dropped out. You admitted you were wrong. You put country first. What caliber of leader does it take to do that? FDR? Lincoln? Washington? As for the election, not to worry. We've got this. I'm not alone in thinking these things. Millions do. Millions love you and are forever grateful to you for your wisdom, your integrity, your kindness and compassion, your political savvy. Millions yet unborn will owe a debt of gratitude to you. So thanks. Just thanks. You deserve a rest, but I hope when you leave office, we'll still be able to see your smile. Don't be a stranger. Yours, Wayne. Dale, can you take over?
And now you know why I am very happy to get up and work at this organization every day. Because Patty and Wayne are just two examples of the people that I get to work with daily. One is my fiance, who runs the partnerships team. One is Deb Verla, who got 140,000 texts sent last week for free. She has built this to the point where every day we're sending as much as we were sending in a month just a year ago. So, yeah, I'm very grateful. It's a crazy time to be alive right now, but I'm very grateful to be here with you. Jason?
So am I. It's difficult to speak with when everyone else who speaks makes me want to sob. Thank you for that beautiful letter, Wayne, and thank you for everything you said, Dale. It's also really beautiful. I want to talk about the amazing work that all of you have done. All of you who have volunteered and donated to Field Team 6 in the past or are doing it right now. We've been dropping donation links in the chat. We are trying to raise money so that we can contact all the unregistered likely Democrats in our database. At this point, we have bought contacts for literally millions. There's 7.1 million right now, unregistered likely Democrats across our 12 swing states that we need.
Actually, Jason, I just bought another 1.5.
Excuse me, 8.6 million.
Sorry about that. That happened right before the call. Sorry.
Okay. Let me update that. 8.6 million people who we need to text and email. We'd like to send them 2 texts each and 2 emails each to maximize the chances they register as Democrats and vote and win this and win the White House, Senate, and House. That is our goal. It's to win it all. We need it all. We need to restore the Democratic trifecta so we can once again have nice things, so we can codify abortion rights as the law of the land, so we can pass game-changing voting rights, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, and more, and save the democracy. So to do that, we have raised over $9,000 today already. That's amazing. That is not a normal day for us. You have gotten us on this call. Now we're currently up to $9,288. We'd like to try for 20,000 by the end of this call. With every $10,000, as I dropped in the chat, we can just boiling it down to the new votes, blue and purple votes, Democrats and independent votes that we generate that would not otherwise exist. It's 1,165 more votes in, for example, Wisconsin, for every $10,000 that we raise. I want to just take a step back and look at the biggest picture now and say that whatever cause is most dear to you, whether it's abortion rights or LGBTQ plus rights, women's rights, civil rights, workers' rights, voting rights, preventing gun violence, climate rescue, or just saving democracy itself, the only way to push these causes forward is to elect more Democrats. And the most direct, fastest way to do that is by registering more Democrats to vote, especially in swing states. Field Team 6 is the one and only national organization doing proudly partisan voter registration all year, every year, in those swing states and districts that matter most, where just a few new votes swing an election. So why do I say voter registration is the key to winning elections? Isn't it getting out the vote, turnout? It all comes down to turnout. That's kind of the wisdom that is handed down from the heavens to us. Turnout is critical, but turnout is not the whole problem. Turnout is about half the problem, and we have almost all of the activist ecosystem's resources, volunteers and donors trained on turnout. We need to feed turnout with voter registration. So you can't turn out voters if they don't exist. We're the ones who get them over that biggest hurdle. Dale says we get them over the fence and into the pool. Once they're in the pool, then the Democratic Party and every single Democratic campaign, as well as Field Team 6 ourselves, target them for get out the vote. But if they're not in that pool, they don't get that. So that's why we do this proudly partisan voter registration. Campaigns are not the solution. Campaigns fight a battle. We change the battlefield. You know, campaigns fight for a vote. We fight for a voter who will give them that vote and also vote for Democrats up and down the ballot for the rest of their lives. When you donate to the party or a campaign, millions of dollars go into TV ads that are there and gone. What we leave in our wake are new blue voters, human infrastructure who continue to push these swing states and districts further left over time. I want to show you, I think it's 2 slides. It's the shortest presentation ever. Here we go. We've already talked about this. Now you know all of this. The results that we got in 2022 are what I want to show you in a very condensed form. This is what we did. Using our one-of-a-kind database of unregistered likely Democrats, we reached out to 5 million of them. When you boil it all down to the ones who registered and voted as blue or purple, Democrats or independents, only because we reached out to them, it's 171,000 brand new votes that would not have been there otherwise. Our cost per vote came down to $8.58. That's per net new vote. If you're interested in the actual title of what that is, that's net new vote. How does that compare? To put that in context, this is not a typo. The Democratic Party actually does spend $1,500 to get a net new vote like this. The closest organizations to us spend $200 to $300. We do it for $8.58. That is why Field Team 6 is the best value proposition in activism. Your dollar goes the farthest here. And every Democrat and independent we register is in a swing state, so their vote counts like crazy. Please, if you can, help us out with a donation. The reason that we are so crazy cost effective is a lot of people on this call right now. That is our secret. We have only 3 people on paid staff. 2 of them are me and Dale. And we have a volunteer staff of over 120 people. A lot of, most of whom are on this call, or many of whom. And we have over, I had to revise this number. I was saying 22,000 is now over 23,000 volunteers across the country in every state. And that is why we can do this. Our structure is completely different than other organizations who are all paid, and maybe usually 0 volunteers. Maybe they have a few as an afterthought. We're almost all volunteers. And so you allow us to do this. So thank you for that. And whatever you can do to help get us further, we absolutely appreciate every single donation. Another great way to help is to let people know about us. I do a Zoom session that, where I pitch what Field Team 6 does and how effective we are and how you can help, especially by donating, once every week or 2. The link for that is in the chat, and let people know about us, bring them to one of those Zooms, or contact us and I'll set one up at your convenience. I will pitch Field Team 6 if you look at me funny. It's my personal mission to get us to our budget goal. So thank you so much for everything you do. And unless I forgot to say anything.
Jason will also pitch Field Team 6 even if you don't look at him funny. So
also true.
That's also good to know.
I have literally pitched Field Team 6 in my sleep. I have dreamt about it all night, woken up, go back to sleep, continue pitching. It's not, I don't get very many donations from those pitches.
All right, I think it's time for Q&A, isn't it?
Yes, let's open
if
it
you
up.
have a question, let's go ahead and throw it into the chat if you haven't already. I do have a couple of questions to start with. Let's get Patty up on screen too, because she's good in a game show. All right. So there was a question, do you think he waited until the Nazis? I mean, Republicans chose a super hard right VP before he stepped down.
It's personally, I feel like it's eccentric arch conservative billionaire Peter Thiel, who wanted Trump to take JD Vance. Peter Thiel does not believe in democracy or abortion rights, and he likes people like JD Vance who will do whatever they're told to take power. So I feel like he kind of paid Trump to take him. Rep Jamie Raskin, who is so smart and funny, he said recently, JD Vance has no convictions, but Trump has 34, so maybe he can share.
Good one. Good one.
He's so good.
I saw Jamie in a parade when I lived in Tacoma Park, Maryland. He was my guy. All right. Next question. So are donations to Field Team 6 used separately or differently than other groups you can donate to?
Oh, absolutely. Oh my goodness. Absolutely. Yes. We are uniquely, we're the only organization that does partisan voter registration. First of all, there are very few who do voter registration at all. And out of those, we're the only one doing partisan voter registration. Yes, Patty, you want to expand on that?
I can't stand it. I have to speak up.
Yes,
okay.
please.
When the nonpartisan groups, all of a sudden, everybody is finding out that when the nonpartisan groups go out on a street corner or in front of City Hall or whatever, they are registering more Trumpists than they are Dems. That it used to be they'd go out for 3 hours and they'd get 2 Dems, 2 Republicans, and 1 NPP voter. But now it turns out that in those public forums, unless you're at a pride event, unless you're on a college campus, unless you're at a very explicitly youth-oriented activity, you're more likely to do it. You have to switch to partisan voter registration, where you present. Jason always used to wear what he called liberal-looking clothes. I love that, and he would come up with a clipboard. You want to help me save the world from Trump? And hello. Unfortunately, 4 years later, it's still the question that we have to ask. But absolutely, partisan registration, we're it. That's why nobody can sell us the names of unregistered likely voters, because we're the only buyer. And the political vendors say, why should we work on this product? Because we have thousands and thousands of GOTV organizations that are trying to buy the names of registered voters. And we only have you trying to buy unregistered voters. That's why we had to go out and make our own recipe, our brew at home recipe, which is now double the impact of the other one. But I just want to say, oh my gosh, partisan registration pays off so much better. And it's so incredibly cost efficient.
It
Okay, I'll
is.
shut up.
No, that's great. Thank you for all that. And for example, what we can do as a partisan organization, here's an example of an initial outbound text that we might send at a text bank. In Wisconsin, we believe in access to safe, legal abortion, but convicted felon Trump and his MAGA Republicans are trying to take away this freedom. Fight back. Register to vote for Senator Tammy Baldwin and Democrats up and down the ballot. And here's the link to the exact page that they on the Secretary of State's site where they go to register to vote. What you might notice in that paragraph is we not only mention a value, always want to hook people with a value, like reproductive health care, like LGBTQ plus rights, or democracy itself, or a booming economy, whatever it is. Hook that value to the word Democrat. We get to nonpartisan voter registration orgs cannot say the word Democrat. We can. We can also say Senator Tammy Baldwin. Get that name recognition up that is crucial to helping these candidates win, or Ruben Gallego in Arizona, or John Tester in Montana. It's super helpful. So that also makes us incredibly effective and gives us an edge over all the nonpartisan orgs. Great question. Thank you.
All right, we have a question. What is the percentage of people who get a text actually register as Dems? Let me rephrase that. After outreach, how many people who we text register as Dems or blue or purple? How about that? So have Dems, independents, or unaffiliated in the states that don't report party. Patty?
Our overall percentage, not just from texting, but when we combine emailing and postcarding, because sometimes you have to postcard people because that's all you've got is a street address. That's true in a lot of rural areas where cell coverage isn't good. Anyway, our overall yield is 31.4%. In the texting environment, our yield is typically between 33 and 36%. We get different yields in different states, and it depends on the age groups that we're texting into, whether people are text comfortable or not, et cetera, et cetera. But it's really important to look at the overall yield. And by the way, actually, our overall yield is 39%, but we got to take out that 6% that registered as a right-wing party, libertarians and Republicans and stuff like that. And we're really proud that fewer than 2 out of 10 people register as Republicans, because again, remember in the nonpartisan space, more than half are registering as Republicans. So you want 5 out of 10 or you want less than 2 out of 10? I think we know which one we prefer.
I'm going to ask a question that I'm going to answer. Somebody said, I give to Act Blue every month. Does that help you? The answer is, if you're giving through Act Blue to Field Team 6, yes, absolutely it does. In fact, most of our volunteers, most of our donations come as small dollar donations through Act Blue. But remember, Act Blue is actually a processor. They're essentially like if you were MasterCard or Visa, they're a system to process payments. And so they take a percentage of whatever they process. So if you give us a $10 donation, they're going to take 3.8% of that, and then we'll get the rest. So if you're giving to Act Blue, it's important to know the organization that Act Blue is processing that payment for. If you're giving it through Act Blue to Field Team 6, there's a lot of Act Blue links in the chat for you to donate. That's terrific. If you want to give by check, that's also welcome. You can also give by Zelle and just ask one of us in the chat and we can get that information to you. But yes, when you say I'm giving to Act Blue, that means that that's how you're processing the payment. It doesn't necessarily say who you're donating the money to. All right, let's go to another question.
And we are now at, you just got us to $12,054. Thank you so much. That's great. That's great. Let's see if we can get to, let's see if we get to 15 and then to 20 in the next few minutes.
All right. Will there potentially be a Nebraska 2nd Congressional District campaign?
Yes, there actually, if there isn't currently, there will, in the next few days, there will be a free BYOP texting campaign to that. We offer a number of different types of texting. Because of our generous donors, we are currently able to offer a massive text bank every week on Saturdays at 11 a.m. Pacific, 12:12 Eastern.
What do you call that, Jason?
What do I call it?
Yeah.
Massive text bank? What?
You've been calling it the Million Text
Oh,
March.
That is what I call it. I forgot. Thank you for reminding me. We're doing a Million Text March every week to send 1 million texts. Just forgetting for a second about the thousands and thousands of dollars it costs us to find those people and acquire those contacts, to actually just send those texts to 1 million people a week costs $40,000. It costs $40,000 a week. So we're going to keep doing that every week we can, every week that our budget allows. But it's super effective. Like Patty said, 30% of the people we text register as Democrats and independents in these swing states. So it's one of the most important things we can do, and it's expensive. So that is also why we need money.
Okay, I want to end with this last question, which is for Patty. Will future messaging explicitly address Project 2025? The short answer is yes. Of course, we're already working that messaging into our outgoing scripts. However, Patty has some really good intel on how to message for 2025. Patty.
Oh, okay. So this is so fun. And I have dubbed this walk around the box because I've sat in on all the messaging things, and it's absolutely amazing where people are saying, okay, the first problem is nobody knows about Project 25. And then, oh, they've heard of it, but they don't get it. And, slowly but surely it's dawning. So it turns out that there's a formula, and I call it walk around the box. Okay, the first thing you have to tell someone at the door or when you're at coffee or in the grocery line or whatever, first you have to say a specific thing that they've done in a red state, like in Texas and in Florida, where they banned abortion, put these draconian 6 weeks things. Then the second thing, going down the right-hand side of the box, you have to say, and what do they promise to do going forward if they get the majority, in Congress, and if they get the White House? And what have they promised to do? They use the Comstock Act in the first 100 days to ban all abortions effectively. Okay, then the next thing you do is you go back toward the left, toward the blue side, and you say, wait, at the bottom of the box, well, what did Joe Biden do? And what did our administration do? They did a whole bunch of things to try and protect the right to reproductive care for our military people and the EMTALA rules and things like that. And then you go up the left side of the box, you're on the fourth side of the box, you say, what does Joe Biden and now Vice President Kamala Harris, what do they promise to do with the White House and with the majority in Congress? And what they promise to do is they use the term codify Roe v. Wade. I hate that. No, what they promise to do is put into law protection for reproductive care for every person. It's between the person and their family and their doctor, and no politician, no lawmaker gets in between. So you walk around the box. What did MAGA already do somewhere? What do they promise to do nationally via Project 2025? What did we already do to the extent it was possible under the divided Congress that we've got now? And what do we promise to do once we get the majority? You do the four things, and it turns out that if they do a pre-test and a post-test, you get a 40-point improvement in opposition to Project 2025 with 4 sentences. There are tons of assets out there. All you do is you learn to walk around the box. As soon as you can do that, you can change people and have them go, oh my gosh, holy crap, no. That's what we want to do.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that. I also wanted to point out our postcard czar Sharon in the chat answered about Project 2025. We currently do have scripts for postcards to all 12 of our target states with Project 2025 messaging. And these are our 12 target states. Just dropped them in the chat. Also, update on fundraising. You have gotten us up to $12,824 so far. Amazing. Amazing. Let's see if we can hit 15. And a good question here. Julie Felinsky says, I don't understand how donation dollars actually equate or correlate to votes. So the money that you donate, we have very low overhead with only 3 people on paid staff and 23,000 volunteers doing the work. So that money goes to acquiring contacts, acquiring the data for unregistered likely Democrats, and to contacting them, to doing the outreach to register them. Email, text, postcard, and phone call are how we contact them. Text is the most expensive. Email and text are super effective. So are postcarding and phone calls. We send postcards and make phone calls to people who we can only contact in those ways. In other words, if we're postcarding someone, we likely only have a physical address for them. In other words, we could not call them on the phone or send them a text or an email, but we have a no Democrat left behind philosophy. You know, if it's harder to contact them, that means we need to try harder to contact them. You know, we don't give up. So that's how we do it. That's where that money goes. Thank you so much for the donations. Someone else donated. Thank you. Yes, we're up to 13. Nice. Broke 13,000. $13,119. Thank you. This is an amazing moment to be living through. We never, most of us never saw this coming. And what blows me away is the outpouring of love, of energy, of donations. I mean, Kamala's war chest, Biden's war chest, was $96 million, I believe. It's more than doubled since they announced yesterday. That just speaks of so much energy that was waiting to be released. And I feel we have an amazing shot to make history. More than that, I feel we are going to win. We're going to win. We're going to get the first Black female president in history. It's going to be beautiful to see Trump lose to her. Oh, how beautiful. How beautiful is that? We're going to hold the Senate against all odds. We absolutely are. And we are going to take back the House. and restore this democratic trifecta and show the world that America believes in democracy. Thank you all so much. Keep taking care of each other and sharing your thoughts and feelings. Keep putting your heart into your work. I love you all. And yes, these comments in the chat are amazing. We are going to win. We are going to win. Jeff, do you want to roll the video that you put together today to close us out? Kamala versus Donald is young versus old, prosecutor versus felon, common sense versus senile in denial. It's a Democrat versus an autocrat, a badass versus a fat ass, and a bold new plan versus the Ku Klux Klan. So volunteer, donate, and help ensure that this orange white supremacist is defeated by our first black female president. Let's go. Let's go, everybody. Keep donating. You are up to $13,324. We will make that video available for sure. Let's see. $13,324. Keep donating. We can update you when we send out the follow-up to this event. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for doing everything you do. Remember, this is just a 3-step process. Volunteer, donate, win.